Hey guys, it's Tammy Van Hollander. I'm excited to connect with yet another one of my buddies and dear friends, Clair Mellenthin. Claire, I'm so happy to have you. I needed all my experts. And Claire also has a very special
Yeah.
new addition to her family who we have to all meet. Who is this, Claire?
So this is Boo. We picked him up yesterday. We needed a break from the stress and chaos, so we thought we'd add more chaos to our house by adding a puppy.
I think everybody
So
should have a puppy I think that's what a wonderful, that should be our recommendation for everybody, the puppy.
yeah, just add more chaos to your house. It's
I,
good.
I love
But
it.
but it's actually been, that was something kind of a spur of a moment decision, but really not, and thinking about like my own teenagers' mental health and being away from their friends and not being able to go hang out, like they need this,
Yeah.
you
And
know.
and Claire, and when we were talking about what to discuss today, that's what we were really talking about. Let's talk about teens and tweens. But I first
Yeah.
also just have to give a shout out of Claire and all the amazing work she's done. And Claire's book, Play Therapy, engaging in powerful techniques for the treatment of childhood disorders. So many great things. Like when we're talking about telehealth to be using in here, and even my great mistakes have been published in here. So if you guys don't have this book, you really need to check it out. Or if you have this book and you're like, oh, what am I going to do with telehealth? And Claire, you'll be talking about it too, but you can look through it and so many ideas. And it's a good reminder for me too, to be looking for this. But Claire, I think it's really important for us to be talking about how this impacts teens and tweens. I work mostly with little ones. I have a couple teens and tweens, but I have a senior, and my son is a
Yeah.
senior and not having graduation. And what is that looking like for him? So, any insight you have for us is just really helpful for us to just get a window into their little souls and what this experience is like for them and what we need to really pay attention to when we're working with this population.
Well, I think it's, you know, it, they are grieving so much. Like they're experiencing so much loss, like the loss of like these rites of passage, the loss of like their rituals, like, especially for the older teens where they're missed prom and they're missing graduation and they don't get to have the goodbyes. Like their life was just abruptly ended, and socially for a lot of them. And we know that that social piece is so critical to their overall development during this phase. And so being without that, I think, has been really, really painful and really challenging for a lot of teens. Not, I mean, you think about us as adults, how hard this has been. Like, you and I were just saying, like, I miss my friends. And our brains are fully developed and we understand that this is scary and all of those great intellectualized things to like help deal with our fears and our worries. And then you have these kids who their brains are still developing and their friends are and should be the most important thing. And so to have that taken away, I think you're going to see some who may act out and rebel a little bit, like with, okay, you can't be with your friends, we have to stay 6 feet apart. And you may see some teens who sneak out or who engage in some risky behaviors. Or on the flip side, the other end of the spectrum, sometimes the kids I worry about more, to be honest, are the ones that fly under the radar and who are just like, everything's fine. I got this. Everything's fine. I don't have any feelings about this because everything is fine. And I think sometimes it's easy to pay attention to the ones that are making the most noise, but the quiet ones are the ones that we really need to make sure that we're creating safety for, so that they have a space where they can, acknowledge and have a place to explore their feelings.
I think that's so important. And I think that we see this all the time with kids, that the ones that are acting out are the ones who are getting the help and that are getting the
Mm-hmm.
therapy and that are getting all of the attention. A nurtured heart approach, we say like $100 bills we're giving to these kids who are acting out and they're just taking all of our energy. But the other ones who are just trying to be perfectionist or do everything right and fly under the radar, they're not getting any of that important quality time. They're not being seen, they're not being heard. And they're the ones we do worry about regarding for cutting, suicidality. Any of those different pieces are really scary.
Well, and I think like the quiet ones are the ones who are so easy to fall through the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, because they're not drawing attention to themselves. And so I think, thinking about your client list, thinking about your own family members or friends, and I think it's important for us to just be mindful and make sure that the quiet ones are getting space and room as much as the noisy ones.
Yeah.
And I think helping parents remember that too, because like I know for me as a parent, my oldest is so dreamy because he's so easygoing and mild mannered. And it's easy to forget that he sometimes needs that reminder that, hey, there's room for you to have feelings in here. Like, and it's important that you acknowledge what your feelings are in here so that you don't get buried in them. Because I think sometimes the easygoing ones or the pleasers or, the rule followers, they sometimes, can just stuff everything inside until it becomes too big to manage. And I think we see that a lot in our clinical work as well.
Right. Claire, thank you. I think that's so important. If we're really to highlight certain things of just that piece, of these kids, and they really are kids who are really high risk because them flying under the radar and due to the situation, not knowing how long it will last or really where we are, that we have to be doing these check-ins with everybody, right? And not just assuming they got this, they're the resilient ones and that they can do it, that we just have to be really emotionally, physically, just really checking in with everybody, and also all the ones we love virtually if we're not with them face to face, right? Or stuck in the home with them.
Exactly. And I think creating opportunities for social engagement, because I think, the social isolation piece of the social distancing has been incredibly painful. I mean, it's been painful for me, let alone kids who have just, they feel like they've lost everything. And so I think for us as, parents and clinicians, like making sure that we're allowing for and providing for ways to stay connected and to maintain relationships is so important, and so allowing them to play together online, let them do Minecraft or whatever, whatever game is the cool game right now. And don't be so restrictive on like, okay, it's only been an hour. We're only allowing that. Like, I think we have to all be a lot more flexible and adaptable. Yes. And realize that especially with technology right now, that's the only way people have to keep connected and to see each other. And, and then some other things like, we can still do group therapy. And I think that, with the allowance of technology, especially with our older kids and teens, this may be a great way to do that, to meet and create a world in Minecraft together, or, have these ways to check in. And it may not be a 2-hour group, it might be a 30-minute group, but allowing for some continuity of care and relationships, I think is just so critical. And I think it's easy to miss that.
Yeah. I think that's so important, and that there's so many ways that they're able to do it. My son is in a band and he does a radio show, and they were able to like call in together and to be able to be playing their music and writing their music, even though it's virtually, which is so cool. It's like there's so much in terms of that creativity piece, which we know the importance and the power of creativity. And this is the time to be able to be creative, to be making music, to be, writing, to be doing books, to just really let all that creativity flow. And this is such a great time to be able to do that as well, and to be able to do it with others, and have the same mindset is also really cool. So, Claire, I really appreciate you coming on and giving some words and wisdom. And it's just so important to just recognizing these kiddos too, and that we can't forget about them.
Yeah. And I think a lot of ways to keep them engaged, especially in telehealth, because I mean, this is kind of the new normal for the next, who knows how long, several weeks at least.
Right.
And, you know, and so having them kind of put together like a therapy kit
Mm-hmm.
is something that I'm doing for all the parents and teenagers that I'm working with, as well as with the little ones. And so for the older kids, you know, having their clay and collage work and art supplies, and, you know, they're doing the virtual sound tray app, awesome, they can download that. Like, there's lots of ways where you can still have amazing therapeutic engagements and involvements and allow for that, you know, and for their expression to come, because as we know, a lot of times for what we're feeling, there's not a lot of words to articulate it, but we can still create it even if we're not in the same space. It's just giving a little bit of forethought to it.
Right.
And I think that helps everybody feel like they have a sense of control when there's so much outside of our control and so much, you know, my teenagers coming in to take the puppies.
As we're talking about teenagers.
As we're talking about teenagers and needing this connection. I just got robbed of my puppy time.
You did. I was jealous. I was wanting to hold the puppy.
But boundaries are another thing, you know, just let them fly when you're working from home. No.
Right.
But I think everybody has to just learn how to be flexible and adaptable, you know, and figure out what your battles are going to be and how to give these kids a sense of control over something that, you know, they really now, especially, literally have no control over what's happening in their life. And that can be a debilitating sense for the most resilient, you know, human.
I feel like that's been my mantra with all the parents that I'm working with, in terms of that you need to find a place for the kids to have control. And for the little ones, of organizing that special time. I'm going to try to do a video on special time, playtime, because there hasn't been many of it, and really giving it for parents so they really understand the importance of that time. And special time, that 30 minutes of special time, could be done with any age group. And being able to just have that time where the phone is off, right? Where there are no disruptions. It's been a long day. No disruptions, and that you're with that tween or teen, and whatever they want to do, you're going to do with them. And I think that's really that power too, of that connection for the parent and child relationship.
Absolutely. And I think with your older kids, it's going to look different, you know, and you have to give them permission to be in control of that. And they're totally going to roll their eyes at you and tell you that you're dumb and lame. So not cool for forcing this. And it's okay, you know.
Right.
And it's a great time to go for drives. It's a great time, you know, to go for walks. It's a great time to just be, you know, find some creativity and connection in the boredom.
Yeah. Okay. Claire, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you came on today. And I will talk to you soon. Be well, you, your family, and little Beau. He's very sweet.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Thanks, Claire.